The Dearborn Independent, April 16, 1921, number 25. Mr. Ford's page. To know the proper balance between income and outgo, that is the problem of tariff. To know the proper balance between service and cost, that is the problem of taxes. These, with transportation, constitute three of our big experimental problems. When tariffs are a barrier instead of a gate, when taxes are a burden instead of a privilege, there is something wrong, not in the method, but in the apprehension of the very principles involved. Transportation business grows weaker the more business it gets. Its profits grow smaller the more income it receives. Something else fundamentally wrong. This is a day for dreamers whose dreams come true. There are plenty of problems to solve which can only be solved by the idea. Government never will be efficient through and through, because that is not what government exists for. But in its tasks, in the various things it undertakes, to do as specific services for the people, it should be a model of efficiency. After all is said and done, government is a business organization and something more. Insofar as it is the culmination of national purpose and aspiration, it is as foolish to require efficiency of a government as of a poem. That is not the sphere of governmental efficiency. But if it is a matter of digging a canal, of surveying a road, of delivering a letter, if it is anything like the things men undertake in individual or lesser corporate capacity, then we have a right to expect of the government a perfect performance. These services, however, are but a part of the work of government. They lie on the factory side of government, so to speak, and should be organized under efficient superintendents who are held responsible for results. But there is a great region of policy and progress where efficiency, by the very nature of the case, cannot be maintained, but where wisdom is indispensable. Efficiency consists in doing in the best possible way anything which we already know how to do. But in the field of government, there are some things which we have yet to learn how to do. We are still in the experimental stage. Tariff is one of these experimental matters. Think of the many minds that have devoted themselves to this problem, of the party battles that have been waged over it, of the artificial prosperities and the needless distresses that have cursed whole populations as the tariff pendulum swung this way or that. It would be most uncharitable to say that none of this effort to reach the basic principle of tariff has been honest. Doubtless, most of it has been. And doubtless, the tariff idea rests largely on the confidence that a tariff is justified because it is serviceable to the people. Perhaps there never will be a perfect tariff adjustment until the world itself is perfected, and then there will be no need of tariffs. It is because of the inequalities of the nations and the imperfection of the earthly federation that these walls are wanted. Formerly, they walled each city apart from the rest. Now, they only wall each country. It is all imperfect, of course, and tariffs are but a part of the general imperfection. We can perhaps tolerate them better for knowing that they are an effect more than a cause. Certainly, the tendency of the times is toward less tariff restriction rather than more. There was once a hope held by a party that the tariff problem could be solved on the principle of tariff for revenue only, but if that rule were literally applied now, we probably should have the highest tariff wall in our history. Tariff has always been relied on as a tax producer, and as a sideline, it served the industrial party, the greedy and short-sighted financial party, as a monopoly maker. It is right to protect American industries when this does not mean protecting and coddling the greedy inefficiency of individual Americans. This country does not protect the individual that way. Why should it protect a group of individuals formed into a corporation? If it is an American industry, it can meet the world. If it cannot meet the world, it should not be artificially sustained to represent American industry. Taxation is another problem still in the experimental room of government. There never was an ideal tax because there never has been an ideal expenditure of taxes. There has never been a perfect basis of taxation because we have no basis of value. Many plans have been suggested to meet this lack. The single taxer would make land the basis. Others would take a certain percentage of the income. We try both after a fashion, and instead of people feeling that the tax is their contribution to the cost of the benefits they enjoy under their government, they oftener feel that it is a burden. The very word has come to have an ugly sound. The present administration must raise taxes, and of recent months, most of the tax-producing sources have dried up. What happens then? What does the government do then? Maybe the government will go into production to earn its own money. We have 100 million people here who never stop eating, who continue to wear clothes. It is a pretty good market and ought always to keep business pretty brisk, if there were not some kink in the money machinery which the government says it controls. It is easy to say, lower taxes. But to stop taxes altogether might mean to lower our flag. How would you like a 50% reduction in all your taxes? Well, that could easily happen and still give the government 40% more than it is now receiving for the purposes of government, if we were not so dumbly tied up with a system that takes oceans of gold every year for the upkeep of our man-killing machinery. If the tax system were even 50% efficient, if people had a view of the course of their tax monies, which should be half as clear as their view of the influence of their ballots. That is, if the people knew their government, or if the facts of government were such as would make the government desirous of having the people know them. Then the payment of taxes would become a pleasant ceremonial, like unfurling the flag or firing off firecrackers on the 4th of July. Taxes provide the method by which people enter most closely into the work of government, yet nobody knows it. Fundamentally, there is a wrong principle. Then there is transportation. That also is still an experiment. Nothing is more arresting than the service breakdown of the railways 5 years ago under increasing business, and their fiscal breakdown now under increasing income. When more business breaks a business and more income renders it poorer, there's something deeper than mere mismanagement. There is something fundamentally wrong. Of course, fiscally, our railroads are paying for multitudes of dead horses. Gamblers first controlled our railroads, robbed them till there was no more gamble in them, and left it to honest management to pay the IOUs. Railroads developed artificially because their gambling controllers strangled the railroad's side partner, the canal. The canal, which had it been left alone to perform its functions, would have assisted the railroad to grow on a more natural basis. But no, the gamblers filled the canals with rubbish, and today the railroads are breaking down for lack of waterways to help them. Our railroads are striking illustrations of the retribution which overtakes even a national and international business, which is victimized by speculation. By being regarded as mere financial devices, railroads were cheated of the mechanical development which today would have enabled them to meet the changed conditions. Worse than being inefficient, worse than being near bankruptcy, our railroads are not admirable, even in the railroad sense. They are equipped wrongly and operated wrongly, and they never will be efficient, and they never will be profitable again until they have been changed from the bottom. You can't run railroads from a speculator's office. There, then, are 3 problems, all of them touching our times pretty vitally: tariff, taxes, transportation, each of them a field for dreams that come true.